Hi, I'm Teresa, and this is my channel, Homestead Life. Welcome to my kitchen. Tonight, I'm going to be making chicharrones, also known as chicharrones or chicharrones. I don't say it as nice and eloquently as my son-in-law does because I don't speak Spanish very well. But basically, this is kind of like a twist on pork rind. It does have pork skin, it has pork fat, and it has a little bit of pork. What we start off with here is the pork belly. I have some skin on pork belly here, just roughly 9.5, 10 pounds. And you'll see that it looks almost like bacon if you look at it from the side. I've rinsed this off, I've patted it dry with a paper towel, and now we are going to get to making this. I'll be cutting this up into about 1/2 inch to 1 inch cubes and placing them into our bowl. And then we're gonna take that over to the cast iron and we are going to fry that up. So let's get started. The first thing I do is I just kind of cut through the skin and all, and I make little slices, almost like big thick pieces of bacon. Now you can also make this in a thicker kind of cut, and I've seen that done and served in some restaurants, but it's not gonna serve the purpose that we are looking for today. So let's just go ahead and get this cut up. And I wish I had a little bit bigger knife, but this is one of my sharper knives, and it's not quite that long, but it will do the job. Now, a good use for this is in tacos or burritos or on chili cheese fries or even nachos, or just by itself. Okay, now that I've got a few of these slices, let's just go ahead and cube this up. And whenever I'm working with meat, I like to take all my jewelry off because I don't like to get meat juices or anything like that underneath, like in my ring or on my watch. And my counter's all clean. One of the things I do before I start cooking is I clean my area and I disinfect it. And then after I'm done, I do the same thing. But that way I know that if something gets off the cutting board, I don't have to worry about it. The area is clean. Now you can also get pork belly with the skin off. I prefer it with the skin on. It just gives it a little bit different flavor and a little bit different texture. Now I got this lovely hunk of meat at Costco Business Center, one of my favorite places, and it was actually not that expensive. Some people might get it from a local butcher, or if you order a whole pig, you might ask them to cut you a pork belly. And the thing I like about Costco Business Center is it does come with the skin on it. I can pick it up at a food distribution center, and it'll usually have the skin off. And you might find that you don't like the skin. I'm wearing my hair up today because it's a nice 107-degree day here in Houston. And I waited to kind of do this till in the evening because I did not want to be over a stove when it's super hot out. We're having record temperatures and heat waves lately. We're actually even under a watering advisory, which I've never seen in the Houston area before, but I have only lived here 10 years. little pieces. And these are going to shrink up some as well, so they won't be quite as big as they look. Again, cooking is always a labor of love. If you don't love what you're making and you're cooking, it'll be tedious. To me, this is not tedious at all. Once this is all cooked up, you can preserve it or save it in several different ways. Because obviously, I'm not going to eat this whole thing right now. You can put some in a like in an airtight container or freezer bag. You can freeze it, but then it's not going to be quite as crunchy. My favorite way to actually save this is to take like a food saver and then suck all the air out of it. Just a little sharper. These Costco knives, these knives are from Costco, the business center. And these are the same type of knives that people use in restaurants. And they're not that expensive. You can get good utensils and knives that don't have to be super expensive. I'm about being reasonable when you're spending things. I know that there's a lot of people that will buy really super expensive knives. Well, I'm not a professional chef and I'm not working in a professional kitchen. So if that was my actual job and I worked at some fine dining institution, of course I would have probably some expensive knives or something like that. But it's just little old me in my kitchen. So I'm not gonna worry too much about it. They're easy to sharpen as well. And these are cost effective. They come in packs of 2, so you're gonna pay like $17 or less for 2 of them. So if by chance I can't get them sharp enough or they lose their appeal or ability to be sharpened, I can just replace them. Really easy peasy. Okay, that's a little thicker than I would normally like, but that's okay. Again, these are going to cook down. It's days like this that I wonder why I have long hair. Okay. Moving right along and making quick work of this. And I have a different bowl that I will put this in when I'm done. You never want to put cooked meat back into something, a bowl or a container on a plate, something of that nature that has the raw product. I've seen people do that and I always cringe. All right, let's see if I can make this a little thinner. There we go. I'm not a professional, obviously. Been on a Mexican food kick lately. And part of that reason is we are getting ready to take a trip to Hatch, New Mexico. and we will be driving. When I say we, it'll be my youngest daughter, her husband, and the 2 grandkids. Oops. And we are going to be going to pick up a bunch of green chilies, which is where we're going to make a lot of pork green chili, and we'll be canning that as well. So that'll be in a future video. That is definitely not a Texas thing. That is a New Mexico and a Colorado thing. And I grew up in Colorado, so I'm used to pork green chili being on everything. Burritos, handheld burritos, smothered burritos. Burritos are a thing there, where tacos are kind of a Texas thing. And so I am so looking forward to this trip. Like I said, we're driving because I'm bringing my gigantic cooler so that we can bring back a bunch of green chili. And then we will make it here. This is getting a little hard to kind of work with. I don't want to slice my hand. And I try to work with pork when it's super cold because it's easier to cut. It's too warm. So I kept it in the refrigerator up until the very minute that I was going to rinse it and then get started. So it wasn't sitting out for any length of time. You can see this has a lot more meat on it. Pork belly is also amazing to barbecue as well. All right, getting down to the last of it here. Okay, I'm gonna put this in the sink and we're gonna head over to the stove. Over here at the stove, we're gonna go ahead and turn on our burner to about a medium-high heat, and we're gonna let this get going. I have nothing in the pan. We don't wanna put anything in there. It's just seasoned from everything else that I've done. Let's get it heated up here. Give it just a moment to kind of warm the pan, and then we will put our pork in. This is probably one of the easiest things to make. You don't put any seasoning in it, no salt, no pepper, no garlic, no onions, no nothing. Okay, give it just another minute or so. I'm gonna turn it up so that it heats up a little faster. Okay, that's good. We don't want it super hot when we're putting things in here. We're just gonna go ahead and dump all of it in here. We're gonna let it sit here for a second or so till we start to hear it sizzle. Now I'm gonna go put this bowl in the sink. All right, now that this is starting to kind of sizzle a little bit, we're gonna just stir this. And this is gonna take a while because what's gonna happen is we need to have everything brown up. It'll be a deep brown color, and you know you're done when there's a lot of brown in this pan. Now this is going to just take a while, so you just have to be patient. Turn it up just a little bit more. Okay, so this has been cooking for a little bit, and I've turned it down just a smidge, but it's starting to brown up. I don't know if you can see that, but it's also starting to pop. And that's when you know you're getting to the point where it's going to start browning. And this is going to be totally a dark golden brown when we're done. Let me see if I can find a piece that's starting to show a little bit of the browning. See, this has a little bit of browning on it. And what happens is you cook it down, there's going to be a lot of water that comes out of it. You don't have to continually stir it. I'm just trying to keep it loose from the bottom of the pan and allow it to do its thing. And I'm impatient, but it's getting there. So lots of different pieces are starting to turn that golden brown. So be careful during this phase because it can pop at you. And so I kind of stand back a little distance. My stove is going to be a hot mess when we're done. And I'm going to be degreasing it. Well, I'm actually going to wait till I'm done doing all the cooking that I'm doing for the night. But just wanted to show you the progress. Let that sit for a little while. Okay, so you can see this is getting darker. Lots more color on this, but we're not anywhere near done. When you're making this, don't wear anything that you absolutely love, and I suggest an apron, and to kind of stand back a little bit as it gets cooking, because it will pop and you will get grease on you. Don't be afraid of it. If it's popping too much and it scares you, turn it down a little bit. All right, and I'm just doing this so that I can get all sides evenly and see how beautiful golden these are turning. Like this one, for instance. These ones, these are all turning a nice golden color. They're gonna be a deep golden brown when we are done. So until this is that color, we just keep cooking. And the other thing to note is that cooking times will vary, right? Depending on how much you have in your pan, how fatty the cut is, all of that. I'm super excited to have some of these fresh as soon as they cool off, obviously. So we'll just keep checking back in. All right, I wanted to show you before I turn this, see how it pops. Look at how golden that is. Ooh, yummy. I wish I could tell you what it smells like in here, or I wish you could smell it. Gosh. It smells amazing in my house. See how dark golden that's getting? That's what we're after, but we want it to be that way through and through. Now, with these things, they are not going to be chewy. They're going to be crispy just wanted to kind of show you this little update. We're getting there. And I don't know if you remember, but when we started, this was a heaping pan, like heaping. Not that high, but I mean, it was heaping. And now, it's a lot less. We have a lot of, and see, I added no seasonings. I've added nothing to this other than the pork and the pan. So we'll check on this here in a few. I need to just let it do its thing. Okay, so now they're all this golden brown color. There's some that are a little bit light, but they are going to be just fine. So we're going to go ahead and remove this from the heat. We're going to turn off the heat. And it's a little warm. And then we're going to bring this back over to the island for the next step. Okay. Get ready to move this over to the island. All right. These are golden and perfect. I'm going to grab a strainer type contraption, and I'm going to go ahead and put them in to my colander so that they can really drain, because we don't want any of this grease or juice in the actual finished product. These are a nice golden brown. They almost look burnt, but they're not burnt. They're meant to be this way. I want to make sure to get all of that liquid off of there. And I let them sit here in this bowl just so that it can let everything release and drip down. And then I will dispose of this grease and liquid. This is not something that I would keep. I normally keep bacon grease, but I would not keep this. So we'll let this cool down for a little bit, and we'll put it back over on the stove once I have all this emptied out. This will be a fun cleanup. This one is a little bit more difficult because you've got a lot that's kind of stuck to the bottom, but it'll still come up very easy. There. All right, now let's put this in the sink and return this to the island and to the stove. To completely cool down. All right, so these have been sitting for a while, cooling off, and also letting any of the grease kind of fall off of it. So what I'm going to do is put these on a nice platter so that you can see what they look like. One tried to escape. And there's a little bit of grease down in there. There's another one that fell out. All right. So now that they're trying to escape here, let's pick one so I can show you what it looks like in the middle. When you break into it, it's still definitely moist and gooey, so you have the ability to chew it. It's going to be a very chewy thing, so I'm not going to take a taste here. I already took a taste of one while they were cooling off camera. They are absolutely perfect. So I'm super excited to be able to deliver some of these to my son-in-law Manuel tomorrow. He will be very happy. Thank you for joining me tonight, and hopefully you'll watch a few of my other videos. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I would love to hear what your thoughts are, if you've ever made these, what you're thinking they would be good for. And I'll also tag some other videos of some of the Mexican food that we're doing as well. So thank you and have a great evening. Hope to see you again soon.